Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Lori.
What are we talking about today?
We are talking about the natal moon in Taurus.
Oh, okay. The natal moon in Taurus. We already did a video about the Aries moon, so now today we're going to talk about the Taurus moon. Before we get into that, let's just talk for a minute about what the natal moon itself represents and why it's so important for us to know what our natal moon is and to have some understanding of that. The natal moon, we all know our sun sign, and in the world nowadays, most people actually do know their natal moon sign at this point, I think. But the moon does change sign every 2.5 days. It really represents our emotional nature and our core need of our lives. Um, the moon also represents our biggest challenge. I think of it as the biggest ego challenge that we have is represented by that moon. So we've got to always look at both the most positive, awakened expression of the sign our moon is in, as well as really learning to understand the more negative, more difficult side of that sign, because that's what we have to kind of go from the difficult to the positive. Did I say that in a way that made any sense at all, Jenny?
Of course you did.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think that works great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was
So
I was just going to add a couple more
good.
on a bigger scale. Like, so those are really very personal meanings and how for each of us to work with our moon sign. And then you also consider the little bit larger, the social implications of what the moon represents, the more of the feminine and the relationship of the feminine to society, also the mother. And then an even bigger lens, the transpersonal lens, we're talking about creativity coming from the unconscious. So there's different levels, and we're mostly focusing on the personal level.
Yeah.
But Matt wanted to mention that.
Yeah, good. Thanks. So in thinking about that Taurus moon, do you want to talk about the examples first, or do you want to talk about what's let's start with what's the struggle? What's the struggle? If you have a Taurus moon, what is your biggest ego struggle? How do you think about that, Jenny?
So if it's in an immature state, it's tends to be obstinacy, stagnation, like inertia, like just sort of being stuck. Like think about like a truck being stuck in the mud, like
Yeah,
not being able to move forwards. It's just ugh.
yeah.
Well,
And stagnation.
mm-hmm.
I remember one thing I used to think about with the Taurus moon is that, yeah, one of the dangers of the Taurus moon is that it can bore itself to death. I remember reading that somewhere and it stuck with me. But it's like, Taurus moon really feels the need to keep things a certain way in order for them to feel emotionally safe.
Mm-hmm.
So there can be a real resistance to change, because change can be scary and it can pull you outside of that comfort zone, which is really what the Taurus moon is always seeking: comfort and stability,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of, yeah, the hard part of Taurus is that obstinance. And another thing, boy, I have a lot of hard things to say about Taurus, don't I? There's also the common tendency with someone with a strong Taurus moon to um, equate safety with financial security.
Mm.
So that's where the materialism can come in. So that's all the negative side of Taurus. Now we best get on to where does a Taurus move from that negative? What are they moving toward?
They are moving towards reliability, like comfort. Just there's a sensual nature to that Taurus. It's really being good in the body, being okay in the body, feeling secure in the material part of that which is your body. Um, inner peace, reverence. I think reverence is
Yeah.
possibly the highest manifestation. That I don't know if any of you know the children's story about Ferdinand the Bull, but if you don't, it's that bull nature, really just wanting to be out in the field smelling the flowers.
Absolutely. And yeah, to that point, Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is all about beauty and that physical, the Taurus is really about that physical beauty, physical connection. Taurus needs their hands in the dirt to plant a garden, need flowers on their dining room table to create a space of beauty. And it's very important, if anyone with a strong Taurus gets stuck in that materialism, to go out and plant that garden and to make contact with what is solid within themselves, their body, the connection to the body. If you have a massage therapist, make sure they have a lot of Taurus in their chart. Yeah, Taurus has a way of embodying that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and connection to the earth, just our Mother Earth is that connection.
Yeah.
Getting outside in nature. Yeah.
I think that kind of covers that. And who are you using for an example of someone with a Taurus moon?
Well, I am using Carrie Fisher because she played Princess Leia in Star Wars, and that story, that mythology, is still very much alive amongst kids today. And she was the first strong female hero character that we saw in a major motion picture. And so she really, it was a groundbreaking role in the 70s to play that. And I think she particularly reflects it because she kind of has this balance of being this heroine role and being a strong lead. Female is much smarter than the guys she was working with. And then at the same time, Carrie Fisher herself had a very difficult life and reflects to a large degree the way that women struggle in our culture, the way that our culture the patriarchal culture is, it's easy to tread on women. And so she kind of reflects both of those elements. But chiefly, I think of her as this beacon of the women could be different in the film industry and in the hero story. Yeah.
I love that. It's so interesting because I didn't pick one person. I picked a whole bunch of people, and now I'm interrupting you. Did you have more you wanted to say?
No, I mean, that's sort of just a quick thing. I mean, there are other things I could say about her chart where you can actually see, I'll just add this one last thing. You can see where there's a struggle because that moon is under a great deal of stress in Carrie Fisher's chart. And then the other thing you can see is that she just has a strong link to Taurus Venus archetypes throughout the chart. So that's that. Oh, and that the moon shows up in the place of theater and film. So yeah, that's all I'll say about her. But yeah, thanks.
Well, I didn't pick just one person. I have a whole list of people that have a Taurus moon, and it's interesting as you're talking about Carrie Fisher and her, breaking into this role in film. It's this new role for women in film. I have to look at my list and kind of laugh because for those of you who are old enough to know who this is, Linda Lovelace did the same thing with breaking into a new role and being accepted in a pornographic movie in the 70s. So it's interesting. It's sort of the same time frame. That's interesting, really embodying the feminine in a way that really held some strength. It's kind of interesting. But my list of people really, when I went through and just gathered a list of people with the moon in Taurus, one of the things that just jumped out at me is that connection to the body. You might not know who a lot of these people are. Some of them you will know. I've got Susie Bright, Bill Clinton, and Monica Lewinsky, both had a Taurus moon, have a Taurus moon. Frida Kahlo, Demi Moore, Annie Sprinkle, Susie Bright, just an interesting group of people that there's a common connection to that strong connection to the body. So I think that's pretty interesting to think about.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if you have a moon in Taurus and you're listening to this video, how do you embody that? How do you use that with your physicality? And how do you create beauty and comfort with your physicality? I think that's a
Perfect.
good way to think about it.
Yeah.
All right.
That's great.
Okay, so join us on the next video, which will be about the Gemini moon. All right, have
All
a
right.
wonderful day, everyone. Thank you, Jennie.
Thanks, Laurie. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.